All right. Regis Reeves, good to have you here this morning. We are transmitting live on YouTube, and this mic is all yours. Little George Harrison going crazy there.
You're listening to ACIM Gather Radio for students and teachers of A Course in Miracles. Join us at acimgather.us.
It's okay to have just a little, and it's swell to have a lot. On the bottom or in the middle, in a rowboat or a yacht. Love is what we long for, to be acknowledged and to be seen. In the end, does it really matter if you're a prince, a pauper, or a queen? The more you give, the more you give, the more you live, the more you live. Your happiness is relative, and if you're feeling like crap, it's time to face the fact. It's your prerogative to be positive. If we become what we believe, then as we think, we shall see.
right, and good morning, and welcome all to ACIM Gather, where we gather to remember, to activate, to inspire the truth of who we are, to awaken. And it's a great morning, great Tuesday morning. And a lot of people are here chatting early. So it doesn't get any better than that. Cindy is in the room, pure and simple. Zuma, Glorian are in the Zoom chat. Others are in the Pal Talk chat. Carrie brought the cyber coffee and donuts, which I love. And Dove Lynn, our host for this radio station or program that's brought to you by acimgather.us, where you can find all the list of speakers and what time we come on and share and other information that you might want to know about ACIM Gather. ACIM stands for A Course in Miracles. If you are new and a part of our YouTube audience, and you'll hear ACIM a lot, just those initials, but it stands for A Course in Miracles. And A Course in Miracles is a study book or a study guide. It's really one and the same. It's a book that contains a study guide. Most people will write a book and give you a companion study guide for an additional cost. But you get the workbook for students included within the book. It's just another section in the book. And it's a book of many enlightening spiritual principles that help us to be happy. That's the ultimate goal, peace and happiness. Well, why do you read this book? We read this book to help ourselves maintain a state of perpetual peace and happiness. Now, other people, it can be used for a lot of things. It can be used to prop up a table or chair. And that's just in the physical sense, but it can also be used to help you suffer longer if you want to suffer longer. I mean, it's subjective. Its aim, according to what's written in it, is for peace and happiness. But some people use it to make themselves sad and scared and hopeless. And I don't know how. I mean, just like the Bible, any other holy book or spiritual book, people use it to get money out of people, or it can be used a lot of ways. I use it to help me in the most simplistic term, to just help me not take myself so serious. It just reminds me to just not take anything about myself that serious. The word in my house for the last week is take it with a grain of salt. I've gone back. That's old school. That's like from the 70s or 80s. And I've been saying in my house, you know what? Just take it with a grain of salt. All this talk and discussion, I just tell my wife, honey, just take it with a grain of salt. So I'm going back. Some of you old schoolers, you all know that term. You're very familiar with it. I don't have to explain what it means. So I'm back to take it with a grain of salt. It's like, and be happy. Because basically when you say that to someone, they're getting all stressed out about some idea or situation or some information, or someone come and tell you something, and they just providing you information about something, and you getting kind of beside yourself about it. And it's like, just take it with a grain of salt. It's like, don't take it so darn seriously. Don't take yourself so seriously. This idea of God, this supreme being, this vibrational, energetic force, whatever you want to relate to yourself as, is way more relaxed than we make it out to be. So, we want, we project. A Course in Miracles teach us that we project. And Grismer is in the room. Welcome. And we really try to make God like us. In one breath, one side of our mouth, we try to put God on a pedestal, but on the in the actuality of how we perceive God and react to God, we really making God like us. And in the New Testament, and I wasn't even planning to talk about the New Testament or the Bible today, but it's just as good as any other book. In the New Testament, Jesus said, even in the parental sense, he said, how can you as parents think you know how to love your kids and you think I don't? You think stuff that you think I would do to you. In other words, this is what God is saying. Stuff that you think I would do to you, you wouldn't do to your own kids. So you actually think you're smarter and better than me. It is unbelievable, pure and simple. It's crazy, right? We would rescue our child in a heartbeat if we had the money, the power, the resources. We would rescue our child in a heartbeat. And then we think God is the author of suffering. We think God is trying to teach us some deep lesson by letting us go through pain and suffering, whether that's mental, emotional, financial, whatever, health. If you're a child, a teenager, and you think because the professor in school or the teacher in school don't like you, trying to give you a hard time, whatever the suffering is. My teacher don't like me. I'm gonna fail. They trying to flunk me. And we think I'm a victim of the world I see. We think whatever this force, God, this energetic vibration, this love, this light, we think that it leaves us out here to fend for ourselves, but we wouldn't even treat our children that way. We wouldn't treat our own way. We wouldn't even treat our close friends. We wouldn't even treat, some of us wouldn't treat our coworker that way. We codependent at work too. We can't do our work for trying to help everybody else do their work. So then we get in trouble and we're in the supervisor's office trying to explain why we didn't get our work done. And we can't tell them, well, I was doing everybody else's, but I didn't hire you to do everybody else's work. Mind your business. So anyway, that's, we have a larger audience. We're on YouTube now, so it's out there for somebody that may help somebody. It may be driving to work. They may have a new perspective by the time they get there. So there you go. But what I really am going to dig in
339.
And that's the lesson of the day. I didn't ask you to say that, but thank you. Lesson 339 is I will receive whatever I request. I mentioned the workbook for students that's a part of the book, A Course in Miracles. And it's 365 lessons that we can do one a day for 365 days. It's a great discipline. I mean, for years before I knew anything about A Course in Miracles, I used to admire one specific thing about the religions of the East, those that had the discipline to at least stop at noon and pray. Look to the east, whatever their practice is. I'm not a scholar in it, because our whole experience as a human is drama. It's to make us forget that we are deity, that we are the sons and daughters of God, that we are a spiritual being having a human experience, not a human being occasionally having a spiritual moment. And this whole existence, the body, the relationships, the whole world system is very captivating and distracting us from one specific reality, that I am God and I am not a victim of the world I see. And so those religions that at least have the discipline to stop at least once during the day, once you start your day, let's just say even a work day, an 8-hour day, that has the discipline, because everything is captivating your attention. The job that you do, the work that you do, the family that you take care of, the neighbors, the sick people that you take care of, whatever you do is captivating. And she's got to go already. Bye. That's pure and simple, has to step out. She came in with a bang. She left with a bang. She'll be back with a bang. She just banged. And so thank you, pure and simple, for hanging out as long as you could. But this world is captivating and it's distracting. And just the discipline to stop. I got a guy on Facebook. I don't know if he still does it. He does a noon thing, stop, drop, and pray, or something like that. But it's important to pause and remember the truth of who you are, to take everything with a grain of salt. Everything. And I know things catch us off guard and we take it extremely serious. We can get frustrated over the slightest little thing. We can get frustrated over somebody cutting us off in traffic. And man, if you don't take that with a grain of salt, because what are you gonna do? Speed up and run them over? You might as well let it go. It's not in your control. So why let that ruin your whole drive to work? I'm not even going to talk about your whole day. Why let that ruin? You were doing good, listening to the radio, listening to your favorite music. Somebody does something crazy, scares you a little bit, startles you, and now you're going to ruminate in that for the rest of your trip, wherever you're headed, to the grocery store, to the wherever, Christmas shopping, to work, whatever you're doing, or you may be on a longer road trip. So it's going to take you 30 minutes or an hour on your road trip to let that go and get back to peace and happiness. And Zuma, if you're not in the chat room, I'm laughing sometimes because in our Pal Talk chat room, where we are simultaneously broadcasting as well, we chat, and that's what we do most of our chatting. We don't really chat on YouTube yet. One day we might drop Pal Talk, and so we'll just be live chatting on YouTube. Who knows? But for now, we continue to chat on our original forum, Pal Talk. At Zuma, like, haha, speed up and run them over. Yeah, like Mud Deer in the Tyler Perry movies. She's not gonna let you get away with it. So I said all that rambling just to say the workbook for students is comprised of 365 lessons, 365 lessons, one a day. And it's a way to pull yourself out of the rat race. to renew your mind, to remember, yes, I'm a CEO. Yes, I'm a RN. Yes, I'm a truck driver. Yes, I'm a whatever, a mother, a father, a husband, a wife. I'm in that role, but I'm more than that. And so just by committing to do one lesson a day, and the lesson will tell you how to do the lesson, whether how to reflect on it, how many times to reflect on it. It will give you specific instructions for that day. And they're simple, they're short, they don't require a lot of time. You can do them driving, working. You can do them anywhere. You don't have to stop. You don't have to write anything down. So it's another form, as I say, the religions of the East, to pause throughout the day, to anchor yourself, to center yourself in the truth of who you are. And yes, that's a big statement, the truth of who you are. And what I'm trying to get to today and talk about today is from the text where it says these words: the Holy Spirit seeing where you are, but knowing you are elsewhere. And that's in the text. That's another section in A Course in Miracles. In the book, there's another section called the text. And in that section, chapter 14, the Happy Learner, section 2, paragraph 2 starts out saying, the Holy Spirit seeing where you are, but knowing you are elsewhere. A few weeks ago, about a week and a half ago, we were listening to Jacob Glass, and he mentioned that in his talk. And my wife said, what does that mean? Oh, so glad you asked. And I'm still thinking about that from time to time since that moment. The essence of it, what it means to me. And I was extremely happy to share with her what it meant to me and what I think it means. And now I'm sharing it with a larger audience. It means a lot. The Holy Spirit seeing where you are, but knowing you are elsewhere. And I'll be right back after this.
I've played the teacher, the preacher, guru, maintaining posture, separating me and you, as if the thoughts of God were mine, and mine to speak. I've listened with an agenda so I could prove all of the shit I believe to be true, just to hide the fear of being weak. Burn the scorecards, balance out the scales. We are one when distracted by our different sails. Underneath what's detectable with eyes, every particle's vibrating with the same light. Right and wrong, and tell me, where are we headed? How can we all belong when all our logic is colliding and it's constantly dividing me from you? So damn those eager protestations on your tongue, Shut your brain up long enough to hear the lowly hum. Underneath what's detectable with eyes, every particle's vibrating with the one light.
All right, and we're back. Yeah, great song. And that's called One by Bird Talker. If you can find that online on YouTube somewhere, if you like it, you can hear more of it. And the band is Bird Talker. The name of the song is One. Yes. And so the Holy Spirit seeing where you are, but knowing you are elsewhere. So what do we think the universe? And Zuma says she's downloaded that song this morning. Look at that synchronicity. So what is the Holy Spirit? What do we think if there is a deity, a God, a force, a higher power that responds to us in any way, in any shape, form, or fashion? However you think that source is able to interact with our experience, with who we are. Is it responding to seeing where you are, or is it responding to the knowing you are elsewhere? The Holy Spirit seeing where you are, but knowing you are elsewhere. Key word is knowing. See, we have the five senses, and this is something that I'm really reminding myself often, and I hope as I remind myself, it reminds you. The five senses are neutral. Seeing is one of them. Sight, hearing, smell, touch. They are gifts. They help us in this body human experience. They are not interpreters. We interpret so fast the thinking mind that we actually think we're victims. That's why we say we're not victims of the world we see, because we're the ones that's interpreting what we see. The eyes, the seeing is not. So the truth, I see something, what is it? I see something that looks like a snake, and I'm walking down the sidewalk, and there's a landscape, and in the landscape, there's something that looks like a snake. So I run out into the traffic and get hit by a car to find out that it was a stick. You know, that's really not funny, but it is funny. I can't help it. Anyway, you know, take it with a grain of salt. You gotta laugh. My wife, she laughs at me all the time. I scare myself way too often. I won't say all the time, but way too often. I mean, I run from my shadow. Like, I take the trash to the curb on trash day, and I don't like for my big bulky trash can to sit out there all day. So I wait till the evening. Sometimes I wait too late. It's already dark. And I'll take the trash out, and I'll be about to break and run to only realize, oh, that's my shadow. Me and my shadow. So I laugh at myself. So seeing, and when I see my shadow, sometimes I think it's an animal. Sometimes most of the time I think it's an animal. Because I live in a place where there could be animals lurking in the dark. So I break to run, and it's only my shadow. Is anybody laughing? We go and get my wife and I, and when I say we go and get mani and pedicures occasionally, and we just went the other day, and this has happened before. And I just like to cut up and be random and be different and break all the rules. So I'll let them paint my nails. And most of the time I don't let them paint them all. It'll be like 1 or 2 fingers on each hand. And I get home and I'm in the mirror in the bathroom, and I raise my hand to my face, and I see something on my hand, and I jump because I forget that they painted my nails. I'm like, whoa, what is that? So I have these moments where seeing, and I love the lessons because I one of the things that I'm happy about, and I say this often in this group, that I'm happy that I can take the simple, funny, happy lessons rather than the lessons where you feel like you're running your head into a brick wall or you're falling off a cliff. We, in the Course of Miracles community and teaching, we talk about a happy learner and a happy dream. And you can be living a dream or a nightmare. And I choose happy every time if I can. And life doesn't have to be a series of horrifying events. It really don't. And I know so many people think it does. And so many people have built their career and their life and their livelihood over drama and horrifying events, and being the resolution and the to a lot of life events that it presents. But life can be happy. Heaven on earth is where heaven really is. It's the best place to experience heaven. The best place to experience heaven is right here, right now. And so I'm happy to laugh at myself, to have the nice, easy, happy lessons of laughter. And so the eyes can see, but what the eyes see and what the mind says is true about what the eye sees is not necessarily true. And that's why the Holy Spirit, if you can follow my train of thinking at all, seeing where you are, but knowing you are elsewhere, and the sentence continues, begins his lesson in simplicity with the fundamental teaching that truth is true. You may smell trouble, but it may not be trouble. You may see trouble, but it may not be trouble. You may hear trouble, but it may not be trouble. In my wife's office, she just really laughs at me. In my wife's office, she has a mirror on her desk. And I was trying to be helpful. I think I may have been going into her office to empty her trash can or something like that. But I was going into her office and I saw my reflection in her mirror and I was about to take out running. I thought it was an intruder in the house. Zuma, I'm telling you, if you live with me, it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be laughter. It's gonna be ha 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 all day. Regis, you're insane. it, so, I mean, it's just, I mean, what can I say? I'll take that over a real intruder any day. Zuma said you're a poor wife. So, just like these headset cords, I had a cord wrapped around my neck and I forgot it was around my neck. It wasn't attached to anything. So nope, I didn't choke myself. So I went to the other room. It was still wrapped around my neck. And I bent over to reach for something, and it started dangling in front of me. And I thought it was an insect flying at me. And I was running. I was like, get away, get away. And so, hey, what can I say? At least my eyes work. So now the story I tell about what my eyes see is the problem. And the Holy Spirit seeing where you are, but knowing you are elsewhere begins his lesson in simplicity with the fundamental teaching that truth is true. The five senses are neutral. It's just a smell, it's just a sound. We get startled and nervous and shaky. We hear a loud sound, and then when we investigate, we find out that it was nothing to be afraid of. I would say it was nothing. It was something, but the something wasn't anything to be afraid of. And that's and so that is learned behavior, but I'm not going to talk about that learned behavior, that I'm a victim and the world is scary, the world is dangerous, and something could happen any moment. I smell something. I'm like, is that gas? We don't even have natural gas. There's no natural gas in our house. We have water and electricity. So we don't use natural gas. But that conditioning. And you have to think about what you're thinking about. That's my mantra, my quote. Think about what you're thinking about and why you're thinking it. So the five senses are neutral, but the stories that we can tell, as Carrie taught us, in a nanosecond, and we can tell a story so fast that we actually think that the story came from the five senses. And that's deep, even for me to say that. We're judging and reacting and projecting at a rate of speed that we really believe that things are happening that are not happening. And the Holy Spirit, thank you. So glad that somebody is looking at this from the bigger picture, seeing where you are, but knowing you are elsewhere. So we want Source, God, the Holy Spirit, love, the universe, to respond to our drama and to our upset and to our panic. And sometimes it feels like it's not, because it knows there's nothing to be upset about, to be panicked about. I have asked my wife in deep sincerity, I'm like, okay, so choose, which Regis do you want? When you're upset, emotional, completely scared out of your mind, do you want me to be the same way? You know, because sometimes this thought system is so intricately woven. What a tangled web we weave when we practice to deceive. This thought system is so intricately woven that we want people to commiserate, to empathize according to what this thought system, this egoic thought system, this world has taught us what empathy is, which is not correct. And I'm gonna give you the correct definition in a moment if my time don't run out. So what do you want? If you're upset about a stick that you think is a snake, do you want me to grab you and say, hold it, don't run out in traffic, it's not a snake, you're okay? Or do you want me to just take out running behind you and we both get run over? I mean, because see, we get mad at our spouses and friends when they don't hang from the chandelier with us, when they don't jump on the edge of the cliff with us or jump off the edge of the cliff. So do you want a voice of reason? Or do you want someone to, every time you think you're falling, I'm falling, I'm falling, I'm falling, you want them to just get all hysterical right along with you? What's going to be more helpful? Who do you want in the ER when you can't speak for yourself? You're plugged up to machines, life support, whatever, and they're saying to pull the plug or not to pull the plug, to cut your leg off or not cut it off, or see if we can save it, to cut your arm off or not cut it off. We may can save it, but it's probably need to be cut off, so we can just go in and cut it off. No, you need to save her arm. You know, no, do everything you can. Or, I mean, who do you want? What do you want? And see, when we start making those type of decisions, I mean, when we look at the tough questions, the hard questions, the real questions, the question behind the fake question, you know, we'll have a better perception. We'll have clarity. The decisions that we do need to make will be much simpler. How we see God, how we see ourselves in the world. I say the world is not happening to you, the world is happening through you. I'm not a victim of these interpretations. My five senses, sight, hearing, taste, smell, touch, these things are innocent. They are tools to help. I'm glad that I can see a red light, a yellow light, and a green light. Thank you, sight. I'm glad that I can hear an emergency vehicle's horn coming up behind me so I can get out of the way. Interesting. I've noticed and I've made a decision. Yeah, I am a victim of my thoughts when I believe they are true. But I'm not a victim of having the thoughts. I have a kingdom that I can rule. And I can tell my mind what to think and my feelings how to feel. And that's what I'm talking about. So I had this thought that I am responsible. And that's right, it's not fault. See, we think responsibility is fault. Responsibility is such a blessing to say, oh, I think I have a problem, and the problem I have the power to fix it. If I created it, I can uncreate it, I can change it, I can tweak it, I can throw it out. And the ego really strives, and I'm talking about with New Thought, with quote unquote spiritual people, the ego really strives. I mean, we can remember this truth and then we'll drift right back into the false belief and the guilt that responsibility means fault. Is my fault, is your fault. Taking responsibility is not blame. There's no guilt in taking responsibility. There's no guilt, there's no blame in taking responsibility. And we drift in and out of that often until we really get it. I don't think everybody does. I know for me, it's a joy. You know, when I found out, oh, yeah, I don't care what and for me, and my wife knows, and people that know me know, I don't care what the doctor says, what anybody says. I take responsibility. And you may be saying something I don't want to hear. Or not that I don't want to hear it, I don't want it to be so. So I'm not gonna make it so because you say it's so. I take responsibility. In all aspects. I was buying a house once, and my mortgage lender, there was a discrepancy, and it was a discrepancy on my credit report. And I said to him, I said, oh, I get it off. He said, no, let me do it because I can do it fast. I said, no, you can't. I said, I know I have financial responsibility. You know nothing, you don't know more about my finances and my credit report than I do. You think you do. And that's what people who don't take responsibility allow. I don't. And I got the discrepancy off my report so fast. He asked me, what did you do? How did that go away so fast? I'm like, sir, I take responsibility for Regis. And you can't convince me that you have more power in my life than I do. I respect what you do. I respect the doctors. I respect what you went and studied and learned and are able to facilitate, whether it's in finance, in the medical field, or whatever field. But I take responsibility. I love responsibility. Responsibility is a blessing, not a curse. And so I'm saying this to a wider audience, to someone that may be scrolling through on YouTube, who may not study A Course in Miracles, but this may be helpful. Taking responsibility is not blame. There's no guilt. It's just saying I'm not a victim. And no matter what's being presented to me from outside of me, if I don't like it, if I don't want it, I can change it. And change is subjective. When you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. Sometimes the things change, sometimes you change, sometimes both change. But it can change. It's not, you're not stuck. You're not backed in a corner. You're not backed up against a wall. And I say this often. Here's another Regis. Everything you know is not everything there is. We think, oh well, I don't know what else to do. So, where's my Lori Coburn? She loves when I say so. You know, oh well, I don't know anything else to do. So that don't mean that there's nothing else to do. That's a belief, a lie. And as Doug Fishman teaches us, right in the middle of a belief is a lie. So you believe because you don't know anything else to do, that there's nothing else to do. And it's hilarious to me. Sometimes I'll chuckle. And it's funny how the mind does that. And I've told this story before. I had some medicated Vaseline, and this was way back, and the lady I was dating had never heard of medicated Vaseline. So she had some type of topical something going on, a cut or something, skin break of some type. And I said, oh, you need put some medicated Vaseline on that. Medicated Vaseline? I've never heard of that. And I'm like, so? That don't mean it's not so because you haven't heard of it. So, but I mean, you won't believe how we approach life that way. It's like, here it is. See, it is a reality. How you gonna gaslight me and make me think I have the stuff? It's in my medicine cabinet. You know, so and they gaslight me like there's no such thing as medicated Vaseline. So that's hilarious. Everything you know is not everything there is. And so I'm taking my time. Myrna is here, getting ready for the next hour. Welcome, Myrna. And it's funny, I pull up a lot of stuff and I could go a lot faster. I have like several pages bookmarked when I get ready to go on, but you know, and I've been talking about this a lot also. We have to learn how to read. We have to learn how to listen. Everything that someone is saying in an hour or 2 hours, or everything that's written in a book is not for you. Everything that's in a chapter is not specifically for you. You have to know how to extract. Oh, sometimes I tune in and listen to people and I realize, oh, that's why I listened to that. I just needed to know about that book. That person mentioned a book in their talk. They may have talked for an hour, 2 hours, whatever, and they mentioned a book. Oh, I needed to know about that book. Sometimes I'll listen to someone and it can be just as simple as they start talking about, it's not their topic. Health and nutrition is not their topic, but they'll make a point about how we need water and need to drink water. I'm like, right, you know what? They just reminded me, I've been really falling off the wagon with my water intake. You know, so I mean, but when you sit there and you try to make every single word, every single point personal, you have to learn to listen. The spirit, the Christ within listening, not the mind, not the ego, but the Christ within is listening. And so I say all that sake because I have a lot of content to share, but I don't get in a hurry to share it. Or I could not play music to make sure I have enough time to read everything I got ready to read and to say everything I got ready to say. But That's not my agenda. And hopefully you figure out what my agenda is. I'm, I'm trying to find the one bookmark I had about empathy. Because in my closing, I found out that I'm doing you a disservice if I commiserate. If I commiserate with people and I try to empathize with people and sympathize with people the way the world says empathy and sympathy is or works or defines it, I'm doing you a disservice. That's why I was making a point about asking, like I said, about my wife, asking her, who do you want with you in times of trouble? Who do you want with you in times of perceived danger, perceived threat? And if I commiserate and empathize, then I'm driving you deeper into that illusion. I'm not being helpful. I'm digging your heels. I'm helping you dig your heels into something that's absolutely not true. That's why it says the Holy Spirit sees where you are, but knows you are elsewhere. The Holy Spirit, if I let it guide me in my thoughts, feelings, and perceptions of all things, then if I want that to be the voice that comes out of me, then I won't commiserate and empathize with your perceived trouble, with your perceived sickness, with your perceived panic, with your perceived fear, false evidence appearing real. Sometimes we have to recontextualize our relationships, whether that's a relationship with a group of mighty companions who study A Course in Miracles, a spouse, in any other type of relationship, to say, what do you want me to respond in spirit, in love, in truth? Or do you want me to commiserate? To empathize, according to A Course in Miracles, does not mean to join in suffering, for that is what you must refuse to understand. That is the ego's interpretation of empathy, and is always used to form a special relationship in which the suffering is shared. And my time is up. You can go and read that for yourself. Chapter 16, section 1. True empathy in the book, A Course in Miracles, is right there for you. It's a lot to unpack. And my time is up. Myrna and Dove is here. Thank you, Glorian, for joining us in the room. Zuma for joining us in the room. And when I say room, I mean the Zoom room. And because we got several rooms going on. so we got Pal Talk. Thank you all. Karen is in Pal Talk. And Delia, Grismer. Otzi I didn't see her earlier. And of course, Carrie, everyone is here. Hell, the gang's all here. Our time is up. Dove and Myrna,